So I've had a birthday week. I had my birthday celebrated in LA and also in New York. So I don't want to say I put off filming this because I always do it around the end of September. But the market predicting has not been on my mind just because event planning, fucking hell, shout out to event planners because doing this myself and with some people on my team was just a lot. So it's good to be sitting down and doing this video and filming this. I don't really have a fit check today because I'm about to do a shoot in lingerie in here, so I just put on like a cute top, but I'm in just like spandex shorts on the bottom, so I don't have a fit check. Sorry to you, but congrats fit check haters, you unintentionally won this one. I also just filmed my October collective forecast, and I do want to say that month is when shit gets very hectic near the end, but September is still one that is a little bit action-packed. It's not the most action-packed month of the year. We have some gnarly things, but overall it's not quite the month that I'm concerned about per se. So it's going to be a little more lighthearted of a video. For some of you that'll be nice. For those of you like me who live for the once-in-a-lifetime, like this is eek astrology moments, might not be as entertaining, but shout out to the St. Regis, New York. This is a normal room, so I was kind of sad. Sorry for those of you who hate that when I ramble. I was kind of sad because it's my birthday weekend. My birthday was the 24th, and I came here, and usually on Marriott, because I'm like platinum elite or titanium elite, I'm whatever, not the highest where you have to have 10 years of I'm like the highest that you can be on a yearly level, platinum or titanium elite, I don't remember. Because of that, I'm used to getting suite upgrades almost every hotel I go to, but the St. Regis here in New York was the first St. Regis, and it's a fairly small hotel, which you can kind of tell when you enter, but it's beautiful. And because of that, they're like, I'm so sorry, we totally would, but for your birthday, like we literally have no suites available, and I'm like, it's okay. But I looked out because the usual rooms are bright red, which is much better than any suite that would be, I don't know, whatever mature colors, like gold, brown, purple, that usually suites are. So I'm very happy with it, and I'm gonna take a shoot in here after I film this video, which I'm ahead of schedule before my massage, so I like that. We are doing the middle part situation because if you didn't see my outfit yesterday and what I wore, this Mugler set, this Mugler bodysuit and the leggings, it was fire. So you can look at my stories before I post anything tonight. Actually, I might upload this video after I post. I'm sorry, this intro is way too fucking long, so you can put in the comments when the actual video starts. Gonna get into September predictions on my normal camera because I don't have an HDMI cord to connect this. I need to get one. It's in storage at my my storage unit here in New York, which I don't even know where it is. I will see you on my computer in a second. So the month starts out on a pretty smooth note. I do like the transits for the beginning of August largely. The middle of the month does have some conflict. It looks like, I'd say, social drama and the high point of tension for the month. But like I said, September is not the month that I'm hugely concerned about, and it is an easier last week, I think, of getting back on our feet and likely being more... We've socially problem solved for the general transits of these. If you're new, I always make a monthly overview video, like a September collective forecast, which does not get into the in detail predictions as I will do here. But TLDR for a lot of these major groups that I will be looking at. The beginning of the month is pretty nice for the market. It'll be down from the new moon, but beginning of the month we get a little bit of a pump. We keep going down though until the full moon on Pisces on the 10th. Middle of the month just continues to look in eek. Like there's a lot of eek around Bitcoin's chart middle of the month, and then a little bit up, and then eek end of the month again. So I don't think the full moon's going to be that big of a pump, even though it will probably be a local pivot for a little bit. Interesting for me, though, more so than the market, is the astrology for Biden and the U.S. this month, because I think there's going to be just some weirdness. Biden has some nice astrology, and then suddenly there's some eek end of the month, and for the U.S. there's some difficult astrology that improves a little bit, but just eek looks quite interesting. If I'm looking at things for like Russia, Putin, like all those charts, I won't go too deep into those because a lot of what was majorly said of importance was in my Russia-Ukraine videos back in February. Oh my God, I remember filming those and being like, this is so interesting. Like, there was just so much going on that I was like, I've never seen anything like this before. And then a lot of what was highlighted was in those videos. However, I will also go through the fact that, frankly, Putin and Russia have some pretty nice astrology, besides some things at the end of the month, but like they have some pretty majorly good astrology, as does Zelensky, honestly. But for the U.S., it's particularly hard, and there's nothing really of too much importance for Ukraine. So I know my chart is on Rochester right now. Rochester? I've never said it out loud. I was looking at someone's chart answering questions on Hey Hero, which if you ever want a question done, answered for me, I don't do full-length readings anymore, and I haven't, but why am I doing two charts? But I do answer questions on Hey Hero, and I get back to you within a few days. So I can either do like 3 to 5 minute answers or 10 to 15 minute answers, depending on the length that you need shit discussed. So we start out with the beginning of this month with Mercury in Libra, just in the general transits, opposing Jupiter in Aries. Mercury is communication, Jupiter is growth. So this is exaggeration, this is storytelling, this is being very flamboyant, this is hyping people up. This is not telling the truth, and this is not, why is it LA now? I need to change it back to New York. This is not good for telling the truth or being serious or honest. This is great for storytelling, entertaining, and I'm going to plan for filming a lot of my videos during this time. I'm not going to plan for having company calls during this time, for example. Then on the 5th, Venus enters Virgo. So ideally, if you have anything to tell anyone, if you have any love to confess for someone, do it before the 5th, because Venus will still be in Leo. Venus is in its fall in Virgo, meaning that it is exalted or lifted up in the opposite sign of Pisces. So when it's in Virgo, it's at a disadvantage. Venus is love, value, beauty, appreciation. Virgo is criticism, details, changing things. It is much more nitpicky, so it's finding value through being nitpicky or bitchy, basically, which is fine. It's not bad. It's just more difficult. So Venus in Virgo is a much more critical, much more serious energy than Venus in Leo. I would not want to ask anyone out, basically, during Venus in Virgo for the first time, if you can help it. But I'm sure you're going to be in the comments like, but I love it. Fucking do it then. Do it. I just, I would choose Venus and Leo over, not that I have it, or I have Venus and Leo. Let me see what degree Venus is at right now. Okay, it's at 20 degrees. I have Venus at 14 degree of Leo, I believe, so it's not, it already passed, alas. There was no love on my Venus return. Maybe I made a good trade or something that I forget. So if I'm now looking at Bitcoin's chart here to briefly talk about the beginning of the month, to be very, very clear, because those of you who are into crypto seem to be idiots and ask me to speak English often, which I fucking do. You can ignore the technical part and just hear when I say number down or up. But in the beginning of the month, we will be going down after a new moon. I predict that from the new moon on August 27th, which passed, until the first week of September, we are likely going to be going down. If you want to see my full August predictions video, of course, you can go to that. Skip to the end, watch that if you're watching this on the 29th, 30th, and want a little bit of a recap. However, from the new moon on August 27th until the first week of September, I do expect us to be going down. And on the 5th, however, I think that we're going to get a pump. I say this because Venus will be opposite Bitcoin's Venus, that's positive. Venus will be trine Bitcoin's Pluto, which is positive. And then on the 9th, Venus will be trine Bitcoin's Mars, which is positive. So from the 5th, I expect a pump. I think we then go back down. And then on the 9th, I do expect a pump as well, leading into the full moon. So it could be that the full moon pump comes a day early. Could also be that we get a brief pump on the 9th before we dump on the 10th. Either way, I will probably open a long on the 9th just for that. I mean, I might be underwater for a little bit, but it looks nice. Similarly for ETH, I will say at the beginning of the month, we do have the sun opposite Ethereum's Neptune, so I don't like the first, but that goes in line with it being down until about the 5th. Then we get a pump. On the 2nd, Venus is conjunct Bitcoin or Ethereum's Jupiter. So for Ethereum specifically, actually on the 2nd, I forgot about this, so add this to what I just said about Bitcoin. I forgot to add that into my overall statements about crypto. On the 2nd, Venus will be crossing Ethereum's Jupiter. That is really nice. So I'd say that on the 2nd, there could be a pump that's more ETH specific. And then on the 5th, Venus will be conjunct Ethereum's Venus, which is nice. So the 5th for both ETH and Bitcoin is likely going to be a pump. Mars will be squaring ETH's Neptune during this time, which I don't really like, but I don't think is going to be a huge deal in comparison to this, which is more bullish. And the sun will be trine ETH's Pluto on the 6th. But I do expect this to be more down overall from the 27th to the 10th, even though on the 5th there could be a pump on the daily level. Now getting into the interesting part of the charts, which is Biden during this time. So why is my voice cracking? It's been a long weekend of 2 parties and a lot of yelling. On the 2nd, Venus is squaring his sun, which is nice. This is happening in his ninth house of foreign policy and international affairs, and it's squaring his sun, which is in his, where is this? I can't see things. In his 12th house. So it looks like international things are going well to let him off the hook, so to speak, and we might not hear about it because this is happening in his 12th house, but overall looks nice. It's squaring his Venus, it's squaring his moon. So early on, it looks like things are going very well for him on an international foreign relations level, specifically around things that we might not be aware of that are conflict-ridden behind the scenes, or of things getting presented from confidential files or being brought out that are received fairly well. However, on the 7th, this looks like where it's an eek moment because Mars is conjunct to Saturn. So it looks like some fighting with someone that he is in a close relationship with, particularly an opponent or someone he is often fighting with. Saturn rules his second house of finances and third house of day-to-day affairs like routine, communication, even transportation. So we could be arguing with someone around a financial decision. So it does look like there is some financial decision making that is difficult during this time. And during this first week as well for US chart, Mars is conjunct the United States Uranus. This is very difficult, and this is very hellish for social and civil infighting. I think just getting prepared for midterms, it'll increase. But like, this looks very difficult for Mars to be conjunct the US Uranus for the 5th. But this whole first week just looks really difficult socially for the US. Looks like fighting, looks like there's going to be some tensions or highs. So I would expect some social issues to be prevalent at the beginning of September during this whole first week, very, very clearly. Now, in contrast to the US's chart, Russia's chart actually has a lot of positive aspects to start the month. It has Venus conjunct its moon. It also has the sun conjunct its Jupiter. It has Venus trine its sun. So there's several things going on, specifically the 6th and 7th, that do look like this could be a time of good news, specifically financial for it, given the sun is on its Jupiter. Venus is on its moon in the second house of finances, so I think it could be something financially lucrative could be taking place for Russia within the first, around the 6th to the 7th particularly. And I mean, there's also good things happening for Zelensky, so it looks all like there could just be money coming both ways because Venus is conjunct his Saturn here on the 3rd is the exact day that is happening. And that shows that from a neighbor, he could be getting, with Saturn ruling, it could be getting financial help from a neighbor, specifically like someone in a country nearby. Then jumping forward to the 10th, we have a full moon in Pisces. And this is a dreamy full moon, you could say. It's conjunct or just very close to Neptune, which is a release of spiritual or creative energy. And we also have Mercury stationing direct on this day as well. Or I guess that's a little weird that it's not stationing direct. What day is it stationing direct? Oh, stationing retrograde. I see. I was like, what? Stations retrograde on the 10th. So not only is this full moon a bit confusing, it focuses on letting go, it focuses on kind of a spiritual release of energy. It's also has Mercury stationing retrograde, so the beginning of rethinking communication and moving back to have some trouble or just inconveniences in travel plans is very, very likely during this time. This is on September 10th, and in some of the other charts, it's not the most, I'd say, red flag, like alarming full moons by any means. However, during this time, as I've spoken about, Mars is right on the US descendant, so I do expect this full moon to be one of conflict. I actually pulled up Biden's chart. Let me go to the US chart. Mars is there. This full moon is in the 10th house, 4th house, which deals with ruler, leader, which is probably Biden. So if we go to Biden's chart here, this full moon is also in his 10th house, 4th house, right on his midheaven. So it looks like a very public time. Looks like some big news about something being revealed, as I mentioned earlier on, but probably pisses people off given that Mars is on his descendant Saturn. For Bitcoin, this is a full moon, which is likely a local bottom, but it's right on Bitcoin's Uranus, which is a planet of volatility and heavy ups and downs in the market. So I expect there to be a huge signal of volatility. I think that there could be a ton of choppiness, specifically in news or some announcement around that time being very confusing in the market. And Jupiter is squaring Bitcoin's Mars and about to cross Bitcoin's moon in the days to come. So I think that we dump into this full moon and have a volatile upswing afterwards. In ETH's chart, it's just not as configured. There's not really any exact aspects, so it's not really the focus here. Then following the full moon, I will say that the volatility looks like it continues for Bitcoin specifically because the sun will oppose Bitcoin's Uranus and the sun will conjoin Bitcoin's Saturn, which does look very volatile. Conjunctions to Saturn looks like hitting a support or resistance level, so I do assume that we dump into this full moon and then we are, pumping out, but that there's some volatility downward going into this full moon. But by the 15th, I do like to see that Venus will be trine Bitcoin's sun, so I'd say the 15th looks like the really promising time of much more upward movement. And on the 15th as well, Venus will be trine Ethereum's Pluto, so there's a much more promising upswing by the 15th. During this time, Biden, just to confirm what I said around the full moon, is definitely in the news or being it's just very public around something he's announcing because the sun is conjunct his midheaven, which is big news being highlighted. So that's a really big indicator here. And during this time for the US, as I've stated, Mars is right on its descendant, which is just big social conflict, infighting time, partisan lines, and the sun is right on its Neptune, which does confirm something around a leader, president, being in the spotlight and being focalized. There's some nice things for Russia, but the really important things were, as I said earlier. So the middle of the month looks like some conflict is bubbling up. Saturn is squaring Uranus, and this is present well into October. This is a background aspect of a ton of, honestly, I'd say Cold War-like tensions rising up because Saturn is restriction, it is holding back, it is being conservative or quiet, and Uranus is upheaval, it is chaos, it is instability. Having these in a square is tension between fucking shit up and just blowing up everything, or keeping everything under lock and not really making any moves. And there's a back and forth frustration that leads to sparks, but nothing really combusting yet, even though it's very uncomfortable in each of our lives. And then from the 16th to the 17th, the sun is also opposing Neptune, which is big confusion with people's motives, big confusion on how to present ourselves, lots of confusion in regards to how to move forward with presentation, with creativity. It's tiresome and it's fear of being in the spotlight, essentially. From the 16th to the 17th as well, Venus in Virgo is squaring Mars in Pisces, or Mars in Gemini, which is push-pull energy of being flirty, yes, but also fighting with people like siblings or neighbors, or just like short-term aggressive behavior with people that we're seeing often and in a nice relationship with, like acquaintance-wise. And then the 18th to the 19th, Mercury is again opposite Jupiter, which shows lots of exaggeration, lots of inflated communication, and lots of over-the-top commentary. So during this time, I will say that there's some gnarly back and forth for Bitcoin that I don't like. So even though I think up after the full moon, I would say from the 17th to the 20th, it looks a little bit chaotic. Mercury will be scoring Bitcoin's Mars, which I don't like. That's not good for news. That looks like FUD. Venus will be opposite Bitcoin's Uranus on the 20th, which is very volatile. That is also not what I want to see. However, on the 20th, Mercury will be trine Bitcoin's Mercury, so that it is helpful for an improvement from the 20th onward, but 17th to 20th look like some down again. There's not really anything major for Ethereum, but that's what I would say for Bitcoin. Then for the US, on the 17th, Mars will be trine Bitcoin Saturn, so that it is helpful to restabilize things after the 17th. It looks like the drama is clearing by then. There's some decent things in Russia's chart, like Venus is conjunct its Jupiter. On the 16th, Venus is conjunct its Jupiter, which is pretty great financially. However, Mars is also square this Jupiter, so it looks like there's a lot of backlash for some financial help that they're receiving. And Venus is trine its Neptune, so it just looks like receiving financial help. But Zelensky during this time looks like he's being helped out as well, given that Venus is trine his Mercury and Mercury is trine his Venus. So there's this connection here between, it looks like international help is being given. And then as we go to the last week of the month, it does look like there's an easier experience. Venus will be trine Uranus, and then the general astrology, when Venus is trine Uranus, it shows that values are being connected with spontaneity or switching things up a little bit in a really positive way. And also there's a Sun Mercury Cazimi in Libra on the 23rd once Libra season begins, which is a much more like, I need to help things out socially. I need to smooth things over, and I really need to help this out. I need to socially smooth things over. So the Sun Mercury Cazimi is, what date is that? The 23rd. Why would this happen? What is that? The 23rd? What? This did not happen. I'm sorry. Reverse. Sun Mercury Cazimi. That did not happen. What am I looking at? I don't know why I put that. Maybe I meant, no, I guess it did happen on the 23rd. Oh, that's weird. So it happened. Oh, that's kind of cool. So it's literally happening like Virgo into Libra. Interesting, the 23rd. Okay, cool. And then Mercury goes back. I see. So they're crossing over one another. So big realizing point of what socially needs to occur in each of our own lives to smooth things over on the 23rd as the sun enters Libra. Then on the 24th, Venus in Virgo is opposite Neptune in Pisces. So that is a much more confusing energy of going over the top with values, with pleasure. So look like that's a Saturday. You're going to probably be hungover on Sunday if you drink. I don't drink, so have fun losing neurons. Andrew Huberman with his Huberman podcast just did a great podcast about alcohol and the effects of it. So if you're drinking heavily, I highly advise you to watch that podcast. Not that I get anything out of seeing people, harm themselves or anything, but it's like a non-drinker, hearing that is thank you for confirming that I just don't feel comfortable putting that in my body. Similar to how when I hear, I don't want to say it's confirmation bias, because if I got new information that changed that, then I would change my life, but I just don't like alcohol, the effects, whatever. So it's a great podcast if you're also into health and neuroscience and weird, it's not weird to learn about your health. Anyway, watch out on the 24th with a Venus-Neptune opposition. Going overboard in love, pleasure, etc. is likely. Then on the 25th to the 26th, it looks like we're back on track very seriously on that Monday, because Venus and Mercury in Virgo conjunct shows precise communication, being concise, having a mic drop moment, and it's trine Pluto in Capricorn, which is very precise, very direct, and a very intense decision-making of value there. So we do end with an easier last week heading into that full moon. Also on the 26th, on the 25th, there is a full moon or a new moon in Libra, which is a very social new beginning, which I will get into explaining at the end of this after I run through some of the other relevant charts that are leading into this 25th, 26th new moon in Libra. It's on the 25th. I don't know why I discussed it as being on the 26th. So on the 22nd, the sun is trine Bitcoin's Jupiter, which is really nice. So I do like the 22nd. Venus is also conjunct Bitcoin Saturn. So the 22nd looks like a pretty bullish day. And on the 23rd, Mercury is trine Bitcoin's Jupiter. Also on the 25th, Venus will be trine Ethereum's moon, which is very supportive for that's just bullish. Other things, it does look like things are still very heavily in the spotlight for the U.S. and for Biden. On the 21st, Venus is on his midheaven, which is usually good for someone in their career. But on the 21st as well, Mercury is crossing his Neptune, which can be a bit confusing, or he's saying things that are overpromising and not clear. The sun is conjunct his Neptune then on the 24th, and Venus is conjunct his Neptune on the 30th. So it looks like a lot of idealism and promising things that are very well received, but possibly are not substantiated. In the U.S.'s chart, we have Venus squaring the U.S. Mars, which is, it's good. It shows that Venus in the 10th, so a leader is solving something, but does still show that with Mars approaching natal Mars, there's a lot of fighting going on. Venus is on the U.S. Neptune on the 22nd to the 23rd as well, which is very idealistic from a leader. It's not very tangible, but it is very dreamlike. And then on the 23rd, with the sun conjunct the U.S. midheaven, definitely does confirm being in the spotlight, just news around Biden and announcing things. Some good things actually looking at Putin's chart for the end of the month as well. So he is having Venus trine his Jupiter and Mars trine his Saturn, which is just supportive on both offense and defense in a way. That's the way I would describe it. So it does look good for him specifically financially during this time. And for Russia, with Mercury conjunct Russia's IC, which has to do with like homeland and property, and the Sun conjunct Russia, like both of these things right on their IC is helpful for like bringing things. It just looked like they're in the news too with getting money and announcements around that. But for Zelensky's chart, Venus is squaring his Jupiter, which is supportive as well. So it does look like multiple parties here are getting helped out. Then, like I said, we end on the 25th with the Libra New Moon. The Sun is opposite Jupiter in Aries going into the next day. Mercury is conjunct Venus in Virgo going in the next day. So 25th, 26th is a big new beginning. And Mars is trining Saturn leading into this as well. So this is a precise action-oriented new beginning that you're likely smoothing something over socially and taking direct action towards and stating this very clearly around others. So in the United States chart, which I do go over these in detail in each new and full moon video as well, obviously, Mars is still close to the descendant and is about to cross its natal Mars. There's a lot of civil fighting, it looks like. But with this new moon right on the new beginning, right on the midheaven, this looks like a new beginning around a leader. I think there could be an announcement of Biden running around now because of Venus and Mercury together. It looks very announcement-oriented. So it looks like a dreamlike announcement that is not tangible and difficult to achieve, which I think makes a lot of sense because like if I look at Biden's chart with this being near his natal Neptune, this looks like a dreamy new beginning that is not substantiated or is not like follow through oriented because Neptune is dreamlike, it's not tangible. So, but it does look like he's announcing something pretty clearly with Venus Mercury right on his midheaven or very close. So new moons are generally local tops in the market. We know this. We pump into them and dump after. And this new moon is, Mercury, Venus is on its natal Saturn, but separating. It's not that active, frankly. But I would say that Mars squaring Bitcoin's Uranus it's almost exact. It's fairly volatile. So I would look for getting fake outs or just not having a clear plan there. But yeah, Mars square Bitcoin's Uranus is very volatile and it's probably a local top. And then for Ethereum, it looks like a pump into this because this is right on Ethereum's North Node. So this looks like a big pump for ETH going into this. Definitely North Node can be very bullish, but not long term. And Venus, Mercury, trine Ethereum's moon is also pretty nice. So up into this and down after is pretty likely. And then further on, this is kind of confirmed with Bitcoin having Mars squaring Bitcoin's Uranus after this. It looks like volatility to the downside after. Venus is trine Bitcoin's Jupiter, but I don't think that's going to outweigh the fact that Venus is then squaring Bitcoin's Pluto on the last day. So that is obviously, difficult. So I do see us going down after that. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this was clear, and I hope that this month was clearly not like this is not the red flag alarm month, but this is not, there's some things that aren't that cute as well, but it looks mostly just like civil fighting BS in the US is the major downside, I would say, to all this. But it looks like Biden's making an announcement, so I'd say that that's the main thing is like, what is Biden announcing? Is it an official? Because he's been wary about like, I am running. Like maybe some announcement around running. He's like, I plan to, but then people are like, are you sure? Like there's a lot of weirdness in that way. So I would say there could be an announcement that Biden makes around a 2024 plan that I will be expecting on his behalf or some other similar announcement. So yeah, hope this helps and take care.